Hello. Let's talk about business analytics. So, what is the purpose of business analytics? Um, it is used to describe data for decision making. There has been some major developments that have contributed to the use of analytical methods in decision making. One is large amounts of data, big data. The other is methodical developments to extract knowledge from data. There has been a lot of improvements in statistics and many programming languages. And the third one is, the third enabler is the explosion in computer power. Because before, yes, people knew how to analyze data and the methodology was there, but the computing power was not enough. It was not powerful enough to be able to do analysis. I remember as a student, I would leave the computer running for days to do the analysis that now can be done maybe in 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So there has been a huge change. Tom Davenport has a very good video that I have shared on the slide that I will invite you to watch. So moving on, what are the manager's responsibilities in decision making? Well, there's three levels of management. One is, let's start from the bottom, operational decisions. How should the organization run on a daily basis? That is the supervisor on the floor, that is somebody that has line responsibility over the employees. So that's the operational layer of management. Going up one level is the tactical management. How is the organization going to achieve the goals and objectives set by the strategy of the organization? Now, who sets the strategy? That's senior management. And that takes us to the third level, the strategic decisions. That's the overall company's goals and objectives for the future. Because remember, the operational is today. Tactical is probably weeks out, maybe months. Strategic is years, 2 years, 5 years maybe, depending on the industry, because now everything changes so fast. So in some industries, nobody knows what the company is going to do in 5 years or even 2 years. So it's industry specific. But the point is that operational is daily, tactical is not daily, it has some time horizon, and strategic is long term. The strategic pyramid is used frequently to pretty much exemplify the same material, operational, tactical, strategic. So you can read the details on that. But it's basically another way to depict this. And what I think is important is, it's a pyramid. And the reason that it has that shape as opposed to a square or rectangle or some other shape is that there are more operational duties, more operational activities. There are fewer tactical, and there are just a few strategic. Okay, that's the main point here. So what are the common approaches to decision making? Common, what people do without any formal training. There's tradition. We've always done it this way, right? If you are in retail, in supermarkets, you know that the day before Thanksgiving is the busiest day. So you want to prepare for the day before Thanksgiving. But what about if another day becomes the busiest day? Oh no, we've always done it this way. It's always the day before Thanksgiving. That would be the tradition. Intuition is another one that some people use. My gut feeling, right? I think this is the best way to do A, B, and C. The next one is rule of thumb. Yes, somebody taught me this is how you do it. If this happens, therefore you're going to do this. And the last one is using data. That's the one that we're going to emphasize in this class. That's the one we're going to learn. That's the one that is objective, because data is usually true, not always, but typically it's true. Data is going to supersede the rules of thumb, is going to supersede intuition and tradition. So, decision-making process. First step, identify and define the problem. Once you know what the problem is, then you identify the criteria that will be used to evaluate solutions, possible solutions. Once you have the criteria that you're going to use, now you are in a position to identify the alternative solutions. Okay? What are the possibilities? Once we have the list of possible solutions, now we're going to evaluate them. And we also need a criteria to evaluate the solutions. And once we have that criteria, we have the solutions, now we choose one, the best alternative. This is based on data. It's not based on rules of thumb, it's not based on intuition, it's not based on tradition. Okay? It's based on data. So business analytics is the scientific process of transforming data into information for better decision making. Okay? It's data-driven. We also call it fact-based decision making. It's fact-driven. And it's considered very objective, much better than other decision making methodologies. Now, business analytics can help decision making by creating insights from data, things people didn't know, by improving our ability to forecast more accurately. For example, Walmart, they have a very sophisticated analytics program where they can predict inventory levels. And just a quick story, there's a storm on the East Coast. They know traditionally people are going to buy more water. This is based on data from historical purchases. They increase the stocking levels of water before the storm hits. So then when people come and when there's an increased demand for water, they have the inventory available for their customers. Business analytics can also help us quantify risk. Okay? This is Las Vegas casinos. They do that all the time because they are in the business of making money, right? Not in the business of giving you money, but they also need to give you a little bit. So how much are they going to risk giving you the money? That's using analytics. And the last one is to guide us with better alternatives when making decisions, through analysis and optimization. So the three layers of analytics, we said earlier, descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. So let's start with the first one, descriptive. It's a set of techniques that describes what happened in the past. For example, how much did we sell last week? That will be an example of descriptive analytics. Now, predictive is techniques used to use data from the past to predict the future. The typical textbook example is customer churn. So customer churn means customers leaving us, customers quitting on the company. They are going someplace else, okay? They don't want cable anymore. Now they're going to go to Netflix or something like that. So how do we predict the future? It's not that we have a crystal ball. It's basically we use historical data, and based on that historical data, we look at patterns, and then if we recognize those patterns today, probably means, oh yes, customers that have left before, they have demonstrated these patterns, And we see similar patterns with this customer. So chances are this customer is going to leave us just like the other ones did. So that's one example of predictive analytics. So now that you know that this customer looks like is going to leave, what do you do about it? And that's where prescriptive analytics comes into play. And prescriptive analytics is a course of action or a prescription to do something that you want either to avoid doing or you want something to happen. So in the case of customer churn, of course, we want to prevent the customer from leaving us. So we're going to have a course of action to incentivize that customer to stay with us. Okay? One interesting example that I saw years ago is, as I mentioned earlier, the casinos in Vegas, they do a lot of analysis on customers. That's the reason they want everybody to have a card, because they want to know where you go from one casino to the next. They want to see if you go get a cup of coffee. They want to see how much you eat and where you eat. And if they have that card on you, they can track you everywhere. And one of the things they do, and I saw a presentation a few years ago where they were talking about this, is they see a typical player that goes every week, and that player spends $200 and then the person quits. So then the casino said, okay, of course we want that player to spend more money. So what can we do? So the descriptive analytics in this example is all the history that we have on that player. Okay. The predictive is we know that when the person hits $200, the person quits. The prescriptive is what can we do about it? How can we keep this player engaged? How can we keep this player gambling? Okay, more than $200. So what they did in that particular situation is they gave the player, when the player was losing maybe about $160, they gave the player a bonus, gave them $50. So now, if that player were to spend only that $50 and they already spent $160, the casino would be losing money. But when what they realize is that instead of losing, that player spent more than $200, plus the $50 that they got for free. So they were able to increase the retention and increase the profits, because that player now, instead of losing 200, that player lost about 250. Okay? We can stop right here.